sends doctors! Cuba sends doctors!
The BBC and The Guardian express the perspective of the British ruling class. They dutifully publish lies and distortions in order to soften up the British public to accept regime change.
Cuba's socialist healthcare system and internationalist approach to healthcare is an incredible example of what is possible when human life is put before profit. And the UK has shared not one single jab with the rest of the world. For shame.
Medical internationalism has been one of the defining characteristics of Cuban socialism. Since 1963, Cuba has sent 600,000 medical professionals to over 160 countries to assist local healthcare systems and save lives.
Thousands of Cuban medics in the Mais Médicos program have treated 60 million patients in Brazil, including in the most remote indigenous territories and favelas.
On Monday, the government went ahead with its reckless so-called Freedom Day, which will mean freedom from mass infection, freedom for young people and the clinically vulnerable to die, and freedom for the thousands of people who suffer long-term illness when they get long COVID. And it's not just the Tory party. Where has the leader of the opposition been in opposing this murderous policy? How has the Labour Party held the government to account? It hasn't. Yet again, it has failed us. Yet again, the Labour Party has proven itself completely irrelevant in meeting the needs of the working class people. We cannot stay passive. We must work to build a socialist movement here in Britain. It is essential that we raise revolutionary consciousness and liberate ourselves from the oppressive shackles of the capitalist state as the parasitic British government continues to plunder and exploit people worldwide. We must get active to fight back against capitalism and the gluttonous ruling elite here in Britain. We need a real participatory democracy, a centrally planned economy, and revolutionary consciousness, just like socialist Cuba.
Obama promised to close the torture camps in illegally occupied Guantanamo Bay in 100 days after his election. Did he do it? No, he didn't, because he was an imperialist. Biden hasn't repealed the Trump measure against Cuba, has he? Because they're imperialist.
As Frontline Socialist Party, we are in solidarity with Socialist Revolution, in solidarity with Cuba.
Because the vast majority of people in Cuba support that system. Yes, they know from the medical care they get. They know from the education system that every Cuban gets. Yes, in Cuba. So, you know, they're not going to listen to the money of the United States.
As this crisis intensifies, we do not have the time to remain complacent. We need to uprise cohesively to build socialism in Britain. As fight racism, fight imperialism, we are committed to building an anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, socialist movement out of the streets, outside the confines of the racist, imperialist Labour Party. We must build a movement that will fight racism and fight imperialism, because that's how we will build a socialist Britain. You must join us today.